Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Clement. For those who don't know, I'm a real estate broker here in the Greater Toronto area, and in this channel we do talk about everything to do with real estate, and I'm excited to talk to you about today's topic, which is, are we in a real estate crisis? We're going to dive into this today. It's going to be a quick video. Just make sure you watch it until the end, and you're going to gather some really good information on this, because I want to cover some little major topics here that have been very controversial with the news, and just to really break it down for you a little bit. So the Canadian market has been experiencing this huge real estate downturn. Well, you've seen the huge drop down of the real estate market from where it was at the peak of the market of 2022. This is around March, April there, where the interest rates were as low as 0.99% to even 1%. So obviously there's a lot of things that can play a factor in the downturn of any real estate market or any economy. So one of the things that I really want to discuss on this topic is the change in the buyer behavior in a market crisis that we're in currently. When you look at the news where it's announced that the interest rates are as high as they are, and you also see the inflation reacting the way it is, and the Bank of Canada making announcements regarding the interest rates and trying to control the inflation rate that we are experiencing. So all these things change the consumer behavior in the market. And just like any crisis, there's always opportunity out there for any investor or any buyer or any seller out there. So, but don't get me wrong when I'm saying this. I'm not saying jump into the market and just go ahead and purchase. That's not my intention for this. I'm just letting you know that there's also some opportunity in a time like this. I recently had one of my clients, his name is Cody, who actually got the opportunity to take advantage of the current market. He's a first-time home buyer who was able to buy a detached house. He bought it for around $550,000. And this same property, he's now going to put in a tenant. We just found a tenant for him pretty much this month, November, and he's going to cover his whole rent for the whole house. So somebody like him, for that same house, in the peak of the market, that house will have been costing around $650,000 to $700,000. So he took advantage of the market because he could see the monthly payments he could actually handle and get a tenant in there because it fits the micro market that he's in regarding the tenants that are there and how much the tenants are paying in that area, and it worked out for him in that case. So there's a lot of cases like this in this market. And then there's also on the seller side where there's some sellers who are obviously in situations where the interest rates are really high, and not just on the housing side but on inflation, because your household expense has gone up, but some have gone up by around $1,000 to $2,000, and your mortgage payment is around $4,000. So you're having a house expense of around $6,000 to $7,000, which is quite significant for the average Canadian consumer. So all these things do play a factor for sellers that are coming into the market, particularly in a winter period like right now, where they potentially have to put their property up. And when this happens, you as let's say as an investor or as a buyer, there's opportunity there for you. So there's opportunity on both ends as a seller or as a buyer. You just have to be very meticulous about it, and you have to be very careful on how you proceed with the market. Don't stretch yourself to the point where you cannot do anything. But if you approach this in a very careful way and you're very on point in terms of looking at the numbers and create a net sheet, like I always do for my clients, create a net sheet, look at it, and make sure it does not go against the numbers that you can actually do on a day-to-day basis. So approach it, as I always say, approach it on a worst case basis. Another major thing in this crisis that we're in is, if you're a buyer, you have the opportunity to negotiate on any property that you're going to submit an offer for. Now, again, there's a caveat to this. This is not going to work with all the properties, but it's going to work with the majority of the properties today, because we're currently now, we're sitting in a buyer's market today. So what I mean by you have the opportunity to negotiate, before in the pandemic, if you remember, when you submitted an offer, you had close to 5, 10, sometimes even 20 people on the table, and you had to submit what we call a firm offer with no conditions. Today, you can submit an offer with conditions, either a finance condition, you can have an inspection condition in there, and this type of conditions are very good for you. Let's say if you have a non-freehold property, we can submit an offer with a status certificate condition in there, which is very important. So all these things, you have the ability to do that today. And also regarding the price. So this is another thing that you have to really pay attention in a time like this. The listing price, which I call the marketing price, also has changed in today's market, because you'll see a lot of properties are now being listed according to the value of that micro neighborhood. So you as a buyer, you're potentially purchasing this property at its value, or if you can go in and negotiate, as I said, you're going to get it at a lower point of that micro market area, which is another good opportunity for you as a buyer in this market. Now, for you as a seller today, you now have to look at this from the point of when did you purchase this property? If you purchased this property, let's say in 2015, you are already at an advantage. If you purchased this property in 2010, you are in a huge advantage. And a lot of sellers now in today's market are boomers. And you can see that even if there's this huge downturn or up and down with the real estate market, they are already at a huge advantage today. So during this period of the crisis, you want to have the right risk management, because if you're not really paying attention to this, you can really fall really hard. You can end up purchasing the wrong property, because this is not the time to purchase a property where you're going to flip and sell it within 6 months. So you have to understand this. And how do you have this risk management? I mentioned it earlier in the video, is you sit down with a professional, a real estate broker, a mortgage broker, preferably when it comes to real estate, the purchasing, the housing. You want to sit down with a professional real estate broker to guide you and really show you what's going on. Somebody like me, a vested real estate broker in the business. I'm a vested real estate broker in the business. I've done multiple transactions. And because of this, I could see the trends of what's going on in today's market, in prior markets, and what could potentially happen. I obviously don't have a crystal ball in terms of exactly what's going to happen with the real estate, but what I can look at is the predictability of what has happened with the real estate market for the past 40 years, which is a video I'm going to be doing for you guys pretty soon here. So it's important to sit down with a real estate professional to be able to assist you in this, and you go back and forth in terms of the kind of conversations that you want and the future that you want. But for now, hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Hit the subscribe button. If you need to sit down with me or have a quick buyer consultation, or you want to have a good understanding of the valuation of your property, you can always reach out to me. I have a link down below where you can send me an email or schedule a quick discovery call, and I'll be glad to have this conversation with you. Up until next time, see you in the next video. Bye.